Anyone who says that they don't make clocks like they used to hasn't been to Dereham. You'd expect to see a scene like this in any small clockmaker's shop during the last century. All around traditional carriage clocks and bracket clocks with ornate dials and solid brass handles. Clocks of all shapes and sizes. Clocks with 8-day chiming movements, especially imported from Hermela of the Black Forest, one of the world's most famous names in this field. And at Dereham in Norfolk, already renowned for its fine furniture, you can see why Metamec's wood collection has established a reputation among discerning buyers. The quality is outstanding. As you would expect, each case is assembled by hand, on a bench, after the style of the last few hundred years. There's no other way to produce clocks like these. The Metamec wood collection has arrived on the scene just at a time when demand for elegant timepieces is reawakening. And this is the range that will be at the prestige end of the market during the next few years. The closer you get to the wood collection, the more beautiful it looks. It wasn't very long ago that people were saying that true elegance belonged to a bygone age, and nobody had time to make nice things anymore. Well, maybe you can now judge for yourself. Metamec have always enjoyed a reputation for producing a wide range of superior quality clocks, from popular bedside synchronous electric alarm clocks to mantelpiece and wall clocks in a multitude of designs and styles. You won't go far without seeing a Metamec clock somewhere, and as a buyer, you will already be familiar with most of them. But what you may not realize is that Metamec manufactures Britain's largest range of clocks, and that with rare exception, they produce every single significant piece part in-house, even designing and making their own production tools for the purpose. And as a result, manufacturing costs are kept low, both price and delivery times are highly competitive, and there is little dependence upon outside suppliers, which is an important factor in successful production these days. This flow-line assembly system, used for the production of synchronous electric movements, was designed and built by Metamec engineers and is about the company's only concession to assembly line techniques. The electric clock movement is made entirely by Metamec. All the components are made at Dereham, including those of the synchronous motor, and this lighted dial 12-hour repeat alarm, available in a number of colors, is one of the company's leading products. And there are many other versions in continuous production. In 1977, they outsold all other makes of electric alarm clocks in Sweden. Primarily designed for the export market and specifically for a German distributor, this is now an international success story and looks like remaining one for some years ahead. It goes without saying that along with every other clock produced at Dereham, the popular ranges too undergo a thorough 24-hour performance test before final inspection and packing. You wouldn't expect anything less than this from Metamec. And naturally, because Metamec make the motor components as well as the transmission system, quality control is of a very high standard, and it is rare for a clock to reach this stage in production and then to fail a test. Even the electromagnetic coil for the motor, shown here in the 3 assembly stages on the right, was entirely produced in-house. The plastics bobbins made in the molding shop are wound on this custom-built Swiss mica-fill automatic coil winding machine. It is capable of turning out a coil every 7.5 seconds, a dozen at a time. Each bobbin receives 20,000 turns of copper wire, is finished and soldered automatically, and distributed to assembly points for manual taping and tagging. The installation, a £60,000 investment during late 1976, has provided Metamec with even further independence of outside suppliers. And of course, such a sophisticated machine will guarantee both the cost and the availability of forward production of the components. The company's tool-making department, another Metamec exclusive in the clock-making field, is literally next door. So both maintenance and design modification of the equipment are available at short notice. This department, staffed with highly skilled tradesmen and formidably equipped, can produce the most sophisticated production tools required. This is an important asset to a company that is continually involved in the development of new production techniques and indeed in new model designs. This injection mould for an oroglass crystal, for example, costs around £5,000 to produce. The cost of production by an outside supplier would be far higher. Incidentally, when finished, this mould will have involved Metamec toolmakers in some 300 man-hours and will have been hand-polished with diamond paste. It pays to be versatile. The tool will be used in a machine like this. It's a Daniels automatic injection moulding machine, one of 20 similar machines at Dereham. This one has 150-ton capability and can produce mouldings up to 1 kilogram in weight at around 200 an hour, depending upon specification. Injection moulding is slowly replacing compression moulding at Dereham for the majority of production adaptable to thermoplastics technique. The final products, like this clock case on the left, produced from plastics pellets on the right, are of a perfect finish on release from the machine. They require no polishing or other preparation before the next stage of manufacture. High-quality injection and compression moulding offers marked advantages over other manufacturing techniques, especially when it comes to finishing the product, as you can see here. The plastics components have been subsequently hot foiled and electroplated in a variety of decorative finishes without the need for extensive pre-treatment associated with other systems. For example, the gold tipping of numerals at this production station provides a standard of workmanship that is unmatchable. The foil is literally welded into the plastic's surface and becomes part of the component rather than simply an adhesive decoration. Dials undergo a variety of treatments, including hand-operated silk screening. The specially formulated ink used to produce this elegant dial is dried off in a conveyor belt oven in a dust-free atmosphere. The operator quality controls each unit as it is produced, an advantage over mechanical mass production systems. The high quality demanded for the face of this granddaughter clock, for example, would not be satisfactorily achieved without the personal involvement of people. One of the nice things about working for a company like Metamec is that you're always part of a team, and the excitement about really outstanding design is shared by everyone. Brass dials are linished by hand in the traditional way. An operation something like this has been going on in clockmaking for centuries. The fine silk finish on that brass surface has a handcrafted appearance, and now you know why. Even the engraved embellishments are handmade, using a pantograph engraving machine, where many manufacturers would resort to die stamping or other techniques. The sharp edge of the engraving reveals to the discerning buyer that the pattern could not have been produced in any other way. And incidentally, look at the finish on the surface there. We've even caught the camera in the reflection. When this clock face is finally assembled, solid brass with a silver-plated chapter ring, with cast brass spandrels, lacquered and polished, you'd be forgiven for mistaking it for a very well looked-after antique. And in 100 years' time, of course, that may be exactly the right description for it, because whoever owns it will treasure it. And by the way, we said silver-plated, and that's just what we mean. Real silver is used for many of the dials in Metamec's prestige collections. Short runs of specialized precious metal plating are undertaken here in a section of the main plating shop. But Metamec undertake all their own standard electroplating as well, in brass, copper and chrome on 2 semi-automated 12-meter plating lines, which can be recycled every 45 minutes. Both metal and plastics plating is undertaken here using the latest techniques and equipment installed in 1976 at a cost of £80,000. Metamec are pioneers in plating plastics in the clockmaking industry, and nearly half their production is plastics-based. The plating of plastics to this standard, of course, is a relatively new development and was virtually unheard of in the 1960s. The standard of the finished plate depends upon the standard of both the raw material and the quality of production. Metamec manufacture their own bezels along with all other metal components here. There are dozens of patterns and sizes ranging from 4 to 10 inches, all solid brass, and as you would expect, handcrafting is an important part of the manufacture. These ladies are brazing on fixing lugs by oxyacetylene flame. Now, some people might do this job with a machine, but that isn't Metamec's tradition. Mind you, there's no shortage of machines to undertake jobs like this. Power press forming solid brass sun rays for a decorative wall clock. You couldn't do a job like this any other way and keep the production cost to within a reasonable level. In the metalworking shop, automatic lathes beaver along unattended hour after hour, producing components by the million for every purpose, from holding a clock face into a case to adjusting the time. The auto-dyeing press on the left is producing laminates for electric motors at some 300 a minute. They are then fed into a custom-built machine designed at Dereham, which assembles them and spot welds them automatically, ready for dispatch to the production line. That's the finished product on the left. The components are on the right. It's actually a stator plate, the component that provides a synchronous electric motor with its essential magnetic field. Many firms would buy in such a component, but with Metamec's own design and research capability, there's no need for that. These people are involved in producing and testing prototypes of every sort and have their own specialized machine shop and specialized team of machinists to undertake the work. This is one reason why Metamec is so excellently placed to undertake large volume specialized contracts for individual customers in pretty well any field, from a popular inexpensive alarm clock through to custom designed luxury timepieces at the opposite end of the range. The central computer here is calling up a piece part inventory for Metamec's quartz mantle model 4963. And this, as a matter of interest, is what would appear from the stores a few minutes later. That's the finished model on the right. Naturally, the computer handles all the routine control situations throughout the factory and can be interrogated by visual display terminals at strategic points. It knows, for example, what's coming off this automatic spray line, where metal or metallized components are being treated with protective acrylic lacquer. This operator is wearing gloves to protect the product against human perspiration and not to protect himself against the product in the spray gun. Naturally, all components are subject to patrol inspection at regular intervals, and this is a major reason for Metamec's reputation for unexceptionable quality, both mechanically and visually. And of course, it's the outside of a clock that the customer sees. It's said that some people buy a clock by the pound weight. Solid quality you can feel, and a high standard of finish. So Metamec's attention to both have ensured their success. Here in the polishing shop, heavy solid brass components are being brought up to mirror finish before they are routed to the next production stage. And a word or two about after-sales service. Now, Metamec are still looking after clocks that were sold in the late 1950s, although they normally guarantee after-sales component availability for 7 years. This clockmaker has been with Metamec since the company was founded some 30 years ago, and when he's attended to a repair or an overhaul, he doesn't expect to see the clock back again for at least another decade, when ideally it should be returned for cleaning, even though it may still keep perfect time. Clocks from Metamec come in all shapes and styles, over 80 at the latest count. This bone china clock is genuine Worcester hop pattern, and it will match your dinner service if you really want to exercise a little one-upmanship when entertaining. And there's also Spode, Wedgwood, and Coalport in the collection. There's tremendous satisfaction for everyone in making clocks like these, and that fact alone ensures that every stage of the production is carried out with really attentive care. Craftsmen are like that. They don't make, they create, and they are very proud of their creations. Labor relations at Metamec are pretty well unique. There is said to have been only a half-day's labor stoppage in the company's entire history. Their sister company, Gentique, famous for its range of elegant furniture, produces the cases for the wood collection just across the road, in a similarly modern, craftsman-orientated factory. Now, doubtless, the name Gentique is as well known to you as Metamec's. And when two names like those combine to produce clocks like these, you won't buy better value anywhere else. And if you'd like that blunt statement confirmed, ask anyone who owns a Metamec clock. You can find Metamec owners all over the world, and Metamec are proud of it.